Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hasselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We have a very busy show, as always, in store for you. We're going to go through primary results. Though by the look of the numbers, it doesn't look like many of you or many people went out and voted, but we're going to take a look at it anyway. Also in New York City, big turnout as Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced former governor, has been defeated in New York City in that mayoral race. We're going to take a look at that as well. But let's first start with viewer comments. The viewer comments section of the program brought to you by Steuben Senior Services, empowering seniors to age at home. This came in yesterday saying, "Good morning, Frank." Well, good morning. Since the networks don't get it with their media choices and ideology, we should have some kind of movement that we select. I'm tired of talking heads. I want a smart, fair, and someone willing to listen and talk to the people person. OMG. I think I'm talking about you. Well, hey, thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say. Let's see. Smart, fair, and someone willing to listen and talk to the people kind of person. I'd say 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I don't know what the one I missed was. All right, let's look at the primary results from yesterday. We'll start here with Chemung County. In the Elmira City Court Judge race, Jordan York defeated Robert Siglin, 226 to 89. Town of Chemung Superintendent of Highways, Adam Skinkle, 118. Gene Purvis, 34. And I again apologize. Not again, I haven't said it yet, but I do apologize if I mispronounce your name. Town of Horseheads, member of council. And this is 2 out of 3. So the top 2 will be Town of Horseheads, member of council. Art Laurie, 523. Joe Brennan, 451. And Donald Ziegler, 296. So Laurie and Brennan topping out there. Town of Van Etten, member of council. Rebecca Wright, 94. Robert B. Ackerley, 89. Andrew Larison, that's a 2 out of 3. So Rebecca Wright and Robin Ackerley. Town of Van Etten, member of council for a 2-year unexpired term, TJ Swartlout with 86 votes. Penny Flora, 37. And the Town of Veteran, member of council, and this is for the top 2 as well, Joseph Emanuel, 79. Francis G. Hank, 74. And Daniel Jones, 56. And Chon Chaplin, 49. Okay, in Steuben County, we had Mike Valino, who we had on this program, defeating Frederick Thompson in the Steuben County legislative race in District 9. In District 12, that encompasses Irwin, James Cool topped out at 109. Dronald Bakari, 70. And Kristen Clemens Westervelt, 26. In District 13, Justin Eberlin defeating Jennifer Mullen. That was in the district that encompassed Hornby, Town of Corning, Caton. Again, Justin Eberlin topping Jennifer Mullen, 275 to 62. Bath Town Council, you could vote for 2. Here we go, folks. How many times, I mean, you hear these numbers. They're, I would almost argue, a little discouraging with the low turnout in Steuben County. The total ballots cast, 1,997 of all the Republicans registered in Steuben County. But listen to this. So you could vote for 2. In Bath Town Council, Brian Knowles, 128. Mike Hann, 128. Hale W. Bally, 100. 124. So, again, when people say that your vote doesn't matter, keep that in mind. Campbell Town Supervisor, Michael Austin, 111. Norman Maynard, 113. So Norman Maynard coming out on top. But these are all very close. I'm sure there's still some, because this is the unofficial results, I'm sure there's still some counting, some absentees they like. Campbell Town Council member, you could vote for 2. Kyle Peterson, 129. Terry Ewey, 120. Cohocton Town Supervisor. Let's see here. Judith Hall, 124. Brian Gelino, 96. And Cohocton Town Clerk, we're going to go through these quick. Lorraine Sanderson, 137. And Cassandra Sick, 86. And Cohocton Town Council member, you could vote for 2. At 156, Jonathan Weldy. 135, William Schumacher. And Karen Johnson at 117. William Schumacher, 135. Did I say that? Prattsburgh Town Supervisor. Well, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. The only one we're going to read after this, Thurston Town Supervisor Mike Velino, because he was on the program, 134 to Jeffrey Sweeney at 32. If you have questions about your specific area, I'd love to hear from you. But I think we've done quite enough just reading numbers and names. But we will, again, highlight some of those later on. But perhaps, and again, turnout discouraging. But what are your thoughts on the local primaries? Again, the local races, so important. Okay, Andrew Cuomo has conceded as Zoran Mamdani wins the New York City Democratic mayoral primary in what is being called a stunning upset. Now, when we broadcast yesterday, we talked about the fact that it was a jump shot, as the New York Times put it, that it was getting very close. Well, dark horse socialist candidate Zoran Mamdani staged a stunning upset last night by knocking off former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democrat mayoral primary, telling supporters at his victory party, "Tonight we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. My friends, we have done it. I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City." This is an interesting one because I think reading the room, so to speak, from all the comments that we received, not too many people were fans of Andrew Cuomo for obvious reasons, making the most disastrous and tragic decision during all of COVID by putting COVID-positive patients in nursing homes amongst our most vulnerable population. Very tragic. He's never been apologetic. He's fibbed, if you will, fudged the numbers on that. And again, really been quite arrogant through that whole hearing before Congress. So no one, at least that I saw, commenting, wanted to see him win. But Zoran Mamdani, a far, far left socialist. So New York is kind of in a rock and a hard place. New York City, that is. The 33-year-old Queens Assemblyman defied polls and expectations as he notched a likely, insurmountable 7-point lead over Cuomo. 7-point lead. The 3-term governor who hoped to make a political comeback after resigning in disgrace in 2021. I would say the biggest positive on this is it knocks Cuomo down enough pegs that maybe this comeback, whatever that is, because remember, just a week, 2-3 weeks ago, we had article after article talking about insiders suggesting, sources familiar with Cuomo's thinking, suggesting that he's thinking about running for president. Now, I'm not saying that that's still off the table. He may still be thinking about that. But this definitely maybe knock him down a peg. Mamdani continuing tonight is, Cuomo in his concession speech saying tonight is his night. He deserved it. He won. Now the first round of ranked choice voting, which I know gets complicated and confusing, had Mamadami ahead with 43.51% of votes, followed by Cuomo's 36.42%. And City Comptroller Brad Landers, 11.31%. Now, Brad Landers, you recall, tried to make a name for himself in a way by getting confrontational at an ICE hearing. Board of Elections unofficial results show those numbers. Again, Cuomo, 36.42%. Mamadami, 43.51%. And Comptroller Brad Landers, 11.31%. Mamadami carried roughly 432,000 votes to Cuomo's 362,000. So really an insurmountable lead. The state lawmaker didn't crack 50% of votes, so the contest will still be decided July 1st once the other rounds of ranked choice votes are calculated. Yes, what a system. Leave it to New York City. But the first round totals still put the avowed Democrat socialist within sight of becoming New York City's next mayor. Cuomo conceded he lost the primary as he addressed his campaign's watch party and signaled he may not even run in November's general election on the independent line, as most had assumed. Quote, "Tonight was not our night," Cuomo said. "It's affordability. Stupid," quipped longtime New York City political operative Kevin McCabe in reference to Bill Clinton about the issue that decided the race. If you recall yesterday, if you watched the program, I talked about some of these cliches in politics. Nothing burger is something that really I find quite grating. Another one is constantly quoting James Carville's line, "It's the economy, stupid." Always twisting that into whatever you think the topic of the day is. So in this case, it's affordability, stupid. Just because you say something that's been said a million times before doesn't make you a political genius, but whatever. That was just a little tangent on my part. A win by Mamadani is bound to have sweeping impacts beyond the Big Apple and signal the rising power of the Democrats' progressive wing. And we actually have a piece, if we get to it later on. I don't want to spend too much time on the mayoral race in New York City, but saying that as the Democrat Party is real, well, as the New York Times put it, in chaos and broke, they're looking for some type of white knight to come riding in. And so one of the pieces is Mamadami, the face of the Democrat Party. Is this the new generation of progressives? Anybody, right? They're looking towards anybody. But his near insurmountable lead hints he could be replicating what his backer and fellow progressive Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did in 2018 as she ran as a charismatic outsider to topple entrenched Democrat Joe Crowley. Only he did it across the whole city. A political veteran told the Post, so maybe he's bigger than AOC. A political veteran kind of hinted to. Maybe he's actually the new face of the Democrat Party, not AOC. Cuomo could barely be seen actually on the campaign trail. We talked about that a little bit last week, as he relied on his name recognition, backing of powerful unions, and attacks against Mamadami's thin legislative record and ample history of criticizing Israel. Yes, he's been very critical of Israel. Imagine if you're one of these quote-unquote named politicians that went out on a limb, in a way, and kind of embarrassed yourself and endorsed Cuomo, and now it was all for naught. That's politics. Now, Cuomo entered the race, as you know, as a clear frontrunner, but saw his polling lead steadily chipped away by Mamadani. Again, he thought, the ego, the cockiness of a Cuomo, he thought he could just run away with it. This was going to revive his career. Next thing you know, maybe the White House. So he didn't really need a campaign. Democrat operative Ken Fervman said he should have learned a lesson from the terrible Rose Garden race that Joe Crowley ran against AOC. Like Crowley, Cuomo was arrogant and grossly underestimating his opponent. Sources were baffled that Cuomo squandered a 40-point polling lead and that he only launched his field operation last week despite more than $25 million on hand. between his own war chest and super PACs. All the money in the world, and you don't know how to spend it, said one Democrat source close to the campaign. Billionaire, former mayor Michael Bloomberg and his allies, along with a swath of business leaders, funneled money into Cuomo's campaign and a powerful super PAC called Fix the City that bombarded New Yorkers with anti-Mamdani ads in the run-up to the primary. Where there goes the comeback of one Andrew Cuomo. But don't count him out quite yet. What did you think of yesterday's, I guess you could say, profanity-laced, not speech, comments, I suppose, by President Donald Trump, showing his frustration, his deep frustration, you may say, with both Israel and Iran. Trump made the comments while departing for NATO. He said, I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either, but I'm really unhappy if Israel is going out this morning. We basically have two countries that have been fighting for so long and so hard they don't know what the blank they're doing. I'm going to see if I can stop it. Yeah, I was not a happy camper, as you could tell. Your thoughts on that? We're just getting warmed up, and I'm already running late. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. If you have any questions about the primary results for your specific area, if you missed them, I know there was not a lot of coverage of it yesterday locally, except for right here, frankly speaking, but the results not covered heavily. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I would love to pass that information along to you. But we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs.
I'm Marian Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Going to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you're looking to do this weekend, check out our Things to Do page on WYDCTV.com. Find volunteer opportunities, local workshops, family events, and more. Visit WYDCTV.com and click the Things to Do tab to learn more.
When I'm in Elmira and Corning, I watch Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's get to some viewer comments. Viewer comments section of the program, brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund. Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. First up, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Yes. No mo, Cuomo. I'm glad he lost. Thank you, Mark. On a little different mindset from a different viewer saying, though, the same. Good morning, Frank. I think I might need therapy. I'm thinking I'm a little upset that Cuomo didn't win the nomination, and that is saying something. I understand your point. I obviously did not want Cuomo to be victorious, but if this is what, well, I mean, I think it does actually show exactly what we're dealing with New York City. You know, when people say we can win because of this candidate statewide, like a gubernatorial candidate, yes. Do I think Elise Stefanik has a great chance of being governor? I do. But you still have to keep in mind the city that votes for Mama Dami has a lot of say in the gubernatorial race. So I understand what you're saying. It's a weird feeling. Ken writes in, so trying to put myself into Cuomo's narcissistic mindset. He is probably telling himself that the voters of New York City decided that they don't want to limit his return to politics by pigeonholing him into the New York City mayoral seat. They want him to run for either governor of New York or the presidency. Ken, I think you're spot on. That's what he's thinking. It would not in one moment surprise me if that's what he was thinking. Well, this was clear. They wanted me to move on to bigger and better things. They didn't want me to demean myself by being just mayor when I should be governor again, or perhaps be in the White House. I think you're right, Ken. That is saying something. But I would not disagree. Okay, Steve writes, he says, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Steve. Does New York really ever stand a chance at ever becoming a contributing factor for the people that live here? Citizens are willing to elect socialists that do nothing but drain the economy and drive businesses constantly out of our state. Then they think that raising taxes is their way to increase revenue. That has also driven corporations to leave in droves. City of Elmira has properties that sell for $20,000, but the taxes on the property are $6,000 a year. How much longer till the floor completely drops out for any form of ability to live in New York? Great point as well, Steve. That's who the people of New York are consistently electing. We've got socialists. I mean, when you think New York City voters, you could look at it this way, felt that Andrew Cuomo wasn't far left enough for their liking, right? Now, we do have a comment from a different viewer, and I think this is a good point, a very good point from this viewer. Maybe people voted against Cuomo, not for Mondami. I think there is some of that. I do. But again, if you look at some of his policies, some of the things he's proposed, I mean, far left socialist isn't a strong enough term. It's worse than that. But I think we're all a little happier this morning that former disgraced Governor Andrew Cuomo is out of the running for mayor, but also maybe out of the running for president or governor in the future. But again, his arrogance on this. He thought he had it. He didn't really spend any of his money. He has a great war chest of money. I mean, impressive. And didn't spend it. Didn't really campaign. Thought he could walk away with it and was, not to keep using the term over and over again, but knocked down a peg. So back to Iran. Boy, there's been a lot of back and forth in the media, hasn't there? Strikes set back Iran's nuclear program only a few months. A U.S. report says preliminary classified findings indicate that the attacks sealed off the entrances to two facilities but did not collapse their underground building, according to the New York Times. The media is looking to call this a failure. We saw that right from the jump. Exclusive, early U.S. intel, so that was the first, was New York Times, now CNN. Exclusive, early U.S. intel assessment suggests strikes on Iran did not destroy nuclear sites, according to sources. I don't know if you saw really Trump's response to that, response to the media's coverage of it. We'll talk about it when we come back. But Trump administration officials did slam that leaked bomb damage assessment This is a problem, pardon me, that time of year with the weather. But this has been the problem in Trump's first term, these leaks. Now, Pete Hegseth said the FBI is conducting investigations into the leak of the intel report on the strike against Iran. Quote, when you talk to people who built the bombs, understand what those bombs can do, and deliver those bombs, they landed precisely where they were supposed to, said Pete Hegseth. So it was a flawless mission. Any assessment that tells you something otherwise is speculating with other motives. And we know that because when you actually look at the report, by the way, it was a top secret report. It was preliminary. It was low confidence. All right. And we believe far more likely severe and obliterated. So there is a political motive here. Of course, we're doing a leak investigation with the FBI right now because this information is for internal purposes, battle damage assessments. And CNN and others are trying to spin it to make the president look bad when this was an overwhelming success. And Trump saying it's completely preposterous what the media is suggesting. What did he say about CNN? I think it was CNN. He said, oh, you said didn't obliterate it, just kind of obliterated it. Something like that. CNN, which first reported the leaked classified document. And how does that happen? I mean, that's what, in the past, we talked about the deep state. That's what we're dealing with. There are still people behind the scenes, the bureaucrats, especially the bureaucrats that were scared because of Doge, because of cuts, now leaking this information because they saw it. They don't want to further Trump's agenda. Who was it? Was it Politico that had that piece before Trump was sworn in saying bureaucrats, the nameless, faceless, unelected bureaucrats, make sure you work hard behind the scenes secretly to stop Trump's agenda. Now, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said this alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous, low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets. Total obliteration. Trump calling the reports by CNN and MSNBC, calling them out, I should say, saying, I see CNN all night long. They're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think MSNBC ought to apologize. Cable networks are real losers. You're gutless losers. He also hit out at the ownership of the far-left networks and the people that run it. Nobody even knows. It's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSNBC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace. That was his assessment of the media's assessment. We've got some other updates on Iran and Israel. We'll read your comments. Keep those waves coming in, just getting warmed up. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Hey, this is John with John's Tree Service. Spring is here and summer is coming. Do you have a tree in your backyard that just doesn't look nice? Kind of makes your property look a little rough? John's Tree Service, licensed, insured, locally owned, and rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Do you have a monster tree in your backyard? Is there no access to it? Can it not be climbed? Is it too dead? We can put our crane and reach over your house and pull that tree down, do it in a safe manner. Coming to a neighborhood near you to service all your tree needs. Call today at 607-377-6513.
Lease a brand new 2025 Chevy Equinox 1LT all-wheel drive with GLE Loyalty or Conquest bonus for only $359 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Chevrolet in Bath.
Learning about elder abuse is more important than ever before. Financial scams, neglect, and physical abuse of our seniors are happening every day. find the right solutions by talking and reaching out to our seniors. If you suspect abuse, call Steuben County Office for the Aging at 607-664-2298 or SteubenCountyNY.gov/235. Brought to you by the Steuben County Office for the Aging.
Here I am, field trip chaperone.
Before preventing migraine with Qulipta, it was hard keeping plans.
And look at me now.
You'll never truly forget migraine, but Qulipta reduces attacks, making more zero migraine days possible.
Don't take if allergic. Stop taking and get help right away for allergic reactions like trouble breathing, face, lip, or tongue swelling, itching, or rash. Tell your doctor about increased blood pressure or color changes, pain, or numbness in fingers or toes.
Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Qulipta.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's get right to it. Why waste money to be mayor, building the war chest off his donors of New York without fighting for them? That's a good point. Comment from Ken. Wouldn't it be interesting to know how many illegal immigrants voted in the New York City Democrat mayoral primary? That would be very interesting. Now back to Iran. And again, if you are just joining us and you did not see the news, Cuomo was defeated by the far left socialist Mamdani. On the local front, if you have any questions about the results, would like to know any specifics, just quickly we'll go to Steuben County Legislator. In District 9, Michael Valino defeated Frederick Thompson. In the 12th District of Steuben County, that's the Irwin District, James Cool, the incumbent, was successful there. In District 13, Justin Eberlin defeated Jennifer Mullen. And those are kind of the biggest ones, if you will, but if you want to know about the various council and supervisors, please let me know. I'd be happy to pass it along to you. Pardon me. And in Chemung County, Elmira City Court Judge Jordan York topped Robert Siglin. And those are arguably the big ones. So, again, be happy to read others, but I don't want to go through the full list. We'll be here like reading snow days in the old days. Okay. Trump says Iran won't be building bombs for a very long time. The last thing they want to do is enrich anything right now. They want to recover, and we won't let that happen. Look, I've had a relationship over the last 4 years. They agreed to the ceasefire, and it was a very informal agreement. They both said that's enough, and they both said it. But no, they won't do that. The last thing they want to do is enrich. They're not looking to fill that void. Can you imagine, after all that, they're going to say, oh, let's go and do a bomb? You know, there could be a day in the future, and then somebody else taking our place will be saying, don't do it. And maybe they won't do it as well. I don't know. But they're not going to have a bomb, and they're not going to enrich. And we believe all of this stuff is down there. He believes does not believe Iran has nearly the time. I think it was just a tremendous victory for everybody. Israel got hit very hard, especially the last couple of days. Israel is hit really hard. Those ballistic missiles, boy, they took a lot of buildings, and they've been great. Netanyahu should be very proud of himself. And they've been really great, but they're not going to be building bombs for a long time. Now, Israel was embarrassed, according to, and again, these are all anonymous sources, and sometimes I wonder why I even bring some of these to you. This one coming from Metro out of the United Kingdom. Israel said its war with Iran is not over, despite both sides agreeing to a ceasefire. Eyal Zamir, Israel's military chief, said Tehran's nuclear program has been set back by years following the 12-day campaign. But he added the campaign against Iran is not over and warned of a new phase. Benjamin Netanyahu hailed an historic victory, but said it must complete its campaign against Iran's axis, defeat Hamas, and secure the return of all hostages in Gaza. So Israel was embarrassed by Trump's furious, cuss word-filled tirade. You can understand his frustration in a way, saying, we called a ceasefire, declaring that, and there's been a ceasefire, and then within, an hour after the ceasefire was declared, a little after that, because we talked about it at the very beginning of yesterday's program, saying that, there may have been an issue with what Iran did, and then Israel said they're going to respond, and then Israel did respond, and Trump's not happy at either of them. But again, the media is trying to report on this as, Iran's going to have a nuclear. Well, first we were told that the uranium wasn't even strong enough, it wasn't pure enough, or whatever the term would be, enriched enough to make a nuclear bomb. Now we learned, because they're saying that the attack wasn't successful, that no, it turns out they could have 10 nukes soon. Amazing how they twist and turn themselves into a pretzel to make sure that they can criticize Trump. But the UN nuclear watchdog group said Iran's program has been set back significantly by the strikes. It's night and day. International Atomic Energy Agency Director Rafael Grossi said Tuesday that Iran's nuclear program is starkly degraded, but he's unsure of the whereabouts of nearly 900 pounds of enriched uranium. Quote, the Iranian nuclear program has been set back significantly. We have to see what they want to do. Are they going to reconstruct what they have? It is clear that there is one Iran before June 13th, nuclear Iran, and one now, and it's night and day. We do not have information about the whereabouts of stockpiles of uranium that might have been removed from the 3 sites that the U.S. military attacked on Saturday, and which sustained a very important degree of damage. Iran officially told me we are going to be taking protective measures, which may or may not include moving around this material. The uranium is believed to be enriched to 60% purity, which the watchdog noted is less than the 90% required for nuclear weapons. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, saying that Iran is much further away from building a nuclear weapon after this strike. Rubio's comments came after Reuters and others reported Tuesday that those U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities set back Tehran's program by only a matter of months. Citing a preliminary U.S. intelligence assessment through sources, both Trump and the White House rejected the assessment. Now, CNN's kind of taking credit for having the first one to break this classified information, put it out to the public. Again, this is an important note that we do have kind of the deep state, the swamp inside the Trump administration in some way. P. Hegseth said the FBI is going to investigate, but these are the kind of things that cannot continue to happen. It happened in Trump's first term. It's been better this second term. But that is something that the media uses to damage Trump, to hurt him, because this is a preliminary investigation, hardly using all the information available at this point. The president reiterated on his Truth Social account that the Iranian nuclear sites were completely destroyed, while the White House pointed Reuters to a statement by spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt to CNN, which first reported the assessment, that the alleged conclusion was flat out wrong. Rubio told Politico, the bottom line is they're much further away from a nuclear weapon today than they were before the president took this bold action. That's the most important thing to understand. Significant, very significant, substantial damage was done to a variety of different components, and we're just learning more about it. Rubio dismissed the media reports as false and said they did not capture the full picture. A ceasefire brokered by Trump between Iran and Israel appeared to be holding on Wednesday, a day after both countries signaled that their air war had ended. Okay, here's one I didn't think, oh my goodness, I'm running really late. Nope, got some more when we come back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmaron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmaron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmaron may be responsible for your vision problems. and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Hardware makes it hard to keep your home looking like the work of art you've always envisioned it would be. Culligan softeners reduce hard water buildup and your cleaning time, transforming every drop, every splash, every rinse into the fine art of a long-lasting clean. With a Culligan water softener, revel in the breathtaking beauty of your home, just the way you've always pictured it. Culligan, water you love.
Don't have to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Stay date on Twin Tiers local news by visiting WYDCTV.com. We've got it all on our website, daily and weekly weather forecast, question of the day, things to do, and more. Follow us today at Big Fox News on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. WYDCTV.com, your website for everything Twin Tiers local. WYDC.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. There are so many comments coming in. Sorry, I'm trying to read all these comments, and we'll get to those in the next segment because I ran a little bit late on that, but we will get to them. One person did write, this is the one I got to before we came on the air. I think it's great that Democrats are divided into factions. I would say that this, yes, this is in reference, I know we should probably talk more about Cuomo and Mama Dama. Cuomo losing the race, quite easily losing the race. That, I think that may be the most surprising part of it. Okay, as of yesterday on the program, I thought perhaps there was a chance that Cuomo could lose. I did not think he would lose so handily. We can talk about that more, and I do have it in the stack of paperwork here to get to later on. Just updating you on some of the Iran information. This is a weird headline. Never thought I'd read, or didn't think I'd read. No, I never thought I'd read it. Trump thanks Jeb Bush over his praise for the Iran strikes. Clearly nemesis. There's bad blood between the whole Bush family and Trump. But Jeb Bush praised Trump's decision, saying President Trump's decision to neutralize Iran's regime nuclear program is a watershed moment. It reasserts U.S. strength, restores deterrence, and sends an unmistakable message to rogue regimes. The era of impunity is over. Trump, screenshotting that comment, put underneath on Truth Social, thank you to Jeb Bush. Very much appreciated. Whew. Steve Witkoff declared Iran and Israel's war over after the ceasefire deal. No one's shooting at each other, he said. Since this conflict began, we've been talking to Iran about having some sort of peaceful settlement. And Iran's one caveat has always been that Israel had to stop its campaign. And once Israel fulfilled its objective, which they did, and once the United States fulfilled its objective, which it did, the president was able to go to both parties and get a ceasefire done. And by the way, the proof is in the pudding, he said. No one's shooting at each other. It's over. Despite claims of violations from both sides, the ceasefire between Iran and Israel appears to be holding, according to the Institute of the Study of War, which is a Washington-based think tank. ISW noted Tuesday that Israel has responded to perceived violations of the agreement from the Iranian side, but has not resumed its campaign at this time. The ceasefire is very much in effect, Trump told reporters before heading to the NATO summit. I think we're going to keep it there for a long time. The president added that he told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold back the planes, and they did, which I respect very greatly. We have some other commentary on this. I would love to hear your thoughts about Cuomo losing that mayoral race. You know, he was using this as a stepping stone to further his political career, make a comeback. This potentially ends that, and I say potentially. Never quite rule out Cuomo from running for something that he's not qualified for. I could see him still potentially running for governor, especially if some things, you know, if at least Stefanik jumps in. I don't know. There's a lot of questions there. But to Ken's point, who said it earlier, and I thought it was a great point, that in Cuomo's narcissistic world, in his ego-driven world, is he thinking that this was just the voters of New York City saying, no, you're too good for this position. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't paint yourself into a corner with this minuscule position. You're better than this. You're ready for the governor's mansion again, or ready for the White House. I think you raise a good point, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So stay with us. We got to take another short break and then some more commentary on Iran and Israel when we return. This is Frankly Speaking here. Oh, and again, if you have any questions about the primary in your specific district or council or whatever the case may be, just let me know. I will read those results to you as soon as I can. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's time to say not so fast chronic kidney disease. Because with a progressive disease like CKD, slow is good. And believe me, I know all about slow. That's why I'm here to tell you about Jardiance. It's a little pill proven to slow the progression of CKD and reduce the risk of kidney failure, which can lead to dialysis.
Serious side effects include increased ketones in blood or urine, which can be fatal. Stop Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, trouble breathing, or increased ketones. Jardiance may cause dehydration that can suddenly worsen kidney function and make you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Genital yeast infections in men and women, urinary tract infections, low blood sugar, or a rare life-threatening bacterial infection between and around the anus and genitals can occur. Call your doctor right away if you have fever or feel weak or tired and pain, tenderness, swelling, or redness in the genital area. Don't use if allergic to Jardiance. Stop use if you have a serious allergic reaction. Call your doctor if you have rash, swelling, difficulty breathing, or swallowing. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have new pain or tenderness, sores, ulcers, or infection in your legs or feet.
So go on, say not so fast CKD. Ask your doctor about Jardiance for chronic kidney disease.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So much to talk about this morning. We've barely scratched the surface of former disgraced governor Andrew Cuomo and his failed mayoral race. And we talked about it yesterday, once you started looking at the polls, it did look as if he could lose. Who would have thought he would have lost by so much? But I think, a month ago? You heard me say it. I'm not one of these people that backtracks and tries to make make what I said sound better. I very much thought, and I'm still shocked, but I'm very much thought that he would be mayor of New York City. Am I glad I'm wrong? Absolutely. But I was pretty darn confident that he would be mayor. So to see him being defeated, but again, I'm not trying to save face. I'm not trying to protect myself. I'm just saying I thought he would campaign a little bit harder towards the end, maybe spend a little bit of his money. But then again, I guess I didn't weigh in the level of his narcissism and his ego. So I'm always willing to eat crow. I'm not one of these people that pretend, like a Joe Scarborough or a Jake Tapper trying to rewrite history and why they didn't cover Joe Biden or what they said at the time defending Biden. I'm not trying to rewrite history. I'm not going to put out a book to pretend I didn't say what I said. But Cuomo, I did think he would be mayor. I'm glad he's not. Not that it, I guess, greatly affects us. But now going back to Iran, now we talk about radio host Charlemagne on a semi-regular basis. He called out Democrats yesterday for their outrage about President Trump launching strikes on Iran without congressional authority. Now we know what happened. Trump launched these attacks, and instantly the Jamie Raskins of the world, the AOCs of the world calling for impeachment even, which Trump, we may get to later on, said, go ahead, make my day. And you had so many people saying, you have to go to Congress to authorize this, which we know would not have kept a secret. We know it would have been a failed mission. But Charlemagne was on his program, had Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. And he called out Trump for the strikes during a Sunday appearance on Meet the Press. Mark Kelly was, excuse me, I'm wording this strange. Mark Kelly was on Meet the Press calling out Trump for the strikes, saying that's the constitutional approach to this. He could have talked to us about what the goal is and what the plan is ahead of time, and we could have had a discussion about it. Charlemagne agreed, but argued Democrats like Kelly should look in the mirror. Morgan, this is one of those times when politicians sound like hypocrites, because Mark Kelly is right. The president should get congressional approval. But there have been a bunch of presidents who have ordered strikes without congressional approval. Barack Obama did it against Libya. Joe Biden ordered strikes in Iraq and Syria without congressional approval. Bill Clinton did it with Kosovo. I think you pronounce it. Yeah, Kosovo. I think he did fine. I don't know. He recalled. So presidents order military action without congressional approval has become pretty routine. So why did it lead to an impeachment for everybody else? So why didn't it lead? One more time. So why didn't it lead to an impeachment for everybody else? Like when Barack Obama did it, when Biden did it, when Clinton did it. He raises a good point. Because it's Trump. I guess that's just because of the way Trump has been moving, but we didn't hear about it when Obama did it. We didn't hear about it when Biden did it. We did. It's just that the mainstream media didn't cover it like they covered Trump. I do remember when Obama did it, Charlemagne said, when Obama did it, I do remember, people in Congress saying he needed congressional approval and they're making it a thing. I don't remember the Biden thing at all. I don't remember that ever making headlines. No, nothing Biden did made headlines. The media covered him 100%, covered for him 100%. Okay. We've got other comments on Iran and Israel. Also, we've got quite a bit here about Cuomo and Mamdani, that we have the takeaways coming from CNN. And can Mamdani help lead the Democrat Party out of the darkness? Asked Politico, or maybe that was New York Times. New York Times. Yes, always looking for the savior of the party. So everybody is a new face. Everybody is the new star, whether it's Jasmine Crockett, whether it's AOC, whether it's Cory Booker, you name it. Everybody has a spotlight on them in the Democrat Party, trying to be the new leader of the resistance, be the savior of the Democrat Party. So keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, running late. We'll be right back.
Want to know why it's hard to stop a train? It's how we've invented products that reinvented our world. It's how we test as hard as the elements do. It's how we run.
Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning in Corning is now offering residential plumbing services. A local, veteran-owned and operated company with over 25 years experience. You can trust the experts at Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Catch Twin Tiers local news and weather by visiting WYDCTV.com. We've got daily and weekly weather forecast, question of the day, things to do, and more. WYDCTV.com, your website for everything Twin Tiers local.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. A couple comments before we go to break and wrap up our number one. This is the Stu Ben Senior Services Fund section of our program where we read viewer comments. Funny story. I was on Facebook, writes one viewer, and had a Democrat attack me, put some vile comments, and I pushed back with facts. After a back and forth, the idiot claimed he was a fake account because I embarrassed him. For the Profanity Playbook, from the Profanity Playbook of Jasmine Crockett. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Cuomo wasn't running for mayor, he was raising money. You may be onto something there. Representative Josh Gottheimer was on Fox News' America Reports, and he's a Democrat from New Jersey, and he was asked about, kind of like Charlemagne, who we mentioned earlier, asked about Trump getting approval from Congress for bombing Iran. Gottheimer said, "I disagree with some of my colleagues, but to that point, other presidents, including President Clinton in Kosovo, President Obama in Libya, obviously took action to protect from an imminent threat to the United States. Iran's nuclear activity, I believe, is an imminent threat to our safety and security, so obviously deemed worthy of action. I think if you have a longer incursion and a longer involvement of our forces, then the president, of course, should come to Congress. But obviously, I think these actions were necessary given the imminent threat, not just the terror threat, but the nuclear threat. And we know that Iran is not our friends, right? They have killed scores and scores of Americans, threatened our service members through their proxies, gone after our bases, and deserved, of course, to do everything to stop their nuclear threat. And so obviously I think this was the right decision. Let's see. It was clear and decisive and the right action. Again, I think that if there is longer-term involvement, the president should come to Congress. And also the president should brief Congress, not just the Gang of Eight. And I think it was not the right move not to brief the full Gang of Eight before. The president and his people should have done that. They also should be briefing us with the intelligence, and I think it's very important. Those are two different things. The action in Iran is one thing, but of course briefing us is another. A little bit all over the place, huh? All right, we've got a few other things on Iran. Happy to talk about Cuomo. Happy to talk about Mohammad Ami's big win. Now the new hero, the new savior, the new white knight of the Democrat Party. Some even kind of throwing AOC under the bus, saying, well, AOC didn't win the citywide race. She just won her congressional district, not the whole city. Always looking for the new flavor of the day. But we've got to take a short break. We've got some comments coming in. And then it's hour number 2. I can't believe, where did hour number 1 go? Hour number 2, moments away. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
It's a brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson SE all-wheel drive featuring push-button start and alloy wheels. No money down for only $379 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai in Big Flats.
Learning about elder abuse is more important than ever before. Financial scams, neglect, and physical abuse of our seniors are happening every day. Find the right solutions by talking and reaching out to our seniors. If you suspect abuse, call Steuben County Office for the Aging at 607-664-2298 or SteubenCountyNY.gov/235. Brought to you by the Steuben County Office for the Aging.
The Twins' first prime-time local news. Catch weather, local and national news, events, and more with our anchors, Dante, Haley, and Ann. Find out what's happening in your community and more by watching Big Fox 10 p.m. News on WYDC.
It's hour number 2, well, frankly speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Yesterday was primary day. If you have any questions about the local races, some get very, very local. If you're wondering, because I know there was not a lot of coverage of this. So if you have any questions, please text me to that number on the bottom of your screen, and I'll read those. But otherwise, I'm not going to go through every single one, but maybe what you'd call the bigger races right now. In Steuben County, for legislator in the 9th District, Michael Volino, who we had on this program last week, defeated Frederick Thompson 196-75. In the race for Steuben County legislator in the Irwin District, where you had 3 candidates vying for that seat, incumbent James Cool was victorious there. In District 13, Justin Eberlin defeated Jennifer Mullen 275-62. Now there's some council members, some town supervisors. If you have any questions about those, feel free to reach out. I just don't want to go through this like it's snow day readings back on radio in the old days. In Chemung County, Elmira City Court Judge Jordan York receiving the most votes there at 226 over Robert Siglin in the town. And we'll leave it at that. So if you have any questions on top of that, feel free to reach out. All right, let's go to some viewer comments. Viewer comment section of our program brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund. Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Here we go. First up, Mark writes in, since that the Democrat Party is broke, the Democrat Party is broke, I thought I would donate a penny to them. Shucks. They stopped making pennies, so I guess I won't. Did they stop making? They didn't stop making pennies, did they? Thanks, Mark. Coming from a different viewer, the stock market is at a healthy level, but Democrats cry it's off 2,000 points from the high. Yeah, the COVID money ran out that artificially raised stocks under Biden. Biden bought his economy with our money rather than building an economy like Trump. Thank you very much. And a comment from a different viewer. As far as Cuomo and Mamdani, neither one was a very good idea. I agree. I think it was the time for a change mindset that defeated Cuomo. Like you said, a white knight. Yeah, I think Cuomo, listen, New York City still remembers what happened during COVID. Still remembers the sexual harassment allegations against Cuomo. But New York City is going very far left. Look at the protests in the street, the anti-Semitic protests in the street, or the other day, the pro-Iran protests. I know that sometimes I sound jaded when I talk about the gubernatorial races and things like that, but it is important to know just how far left New York City has become And sadly, the way New York City goes is the way the state goes. Thomas Massey, he's liking the attention. He's liking the attention of a Republican bad-mouthing a Republican president. If you're a Republican, this is not your first rodeo. This is something that happens. It's almost cliche at this point. Well, Thomas Massey took a shot at President Donald Trump, as the two have been feuding since Massey opposed Trump's strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. I would argue that it was even before that. But in a post, Massey responded to a post in which Vice President J.D. Vance questioned if other VPs had as much excitement as he does. In response, Massey warned Vance of the fallout between Trump and former Vice President Mike Pence after January 6th. Yeah, he's... well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky, because this is very much what we've seen in the past from certain Republicans that love the attention. And I've always said it, I don't know if it's something that they weren't very popular as a young person, or they struggled making friends or what, but they like the attention from people that they consider the cool kids, but those cool kids hate them, meaning the media. You saw it with Liz Cheney, saw it back in the day with John McCain, if you want to go back that far, but there's numerous other examples. Of course, the history of the Republican Party is riddled with the Republicans turning on Republicans. Trump had also previously urged Pence to oppose congressional certification. Okay, so we're going through this. Vance questioned, I wonder if other VPs had as much excitement as I do. Massey wrote, ask Mike Pence about his last month. The reason I bring this in the Iran discussion is because it does tie in. Trump going to Truth Social saying, get this bum out of office. Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky is not MAGA, even though he likes to say he is Trump. Or to say he is, Trump wrote. Actually, MAGA doesn't want him, doesn't know him, and doesn't respect him. He is a negative force who almost always votes no matter how good something may be. He's a simple-minded grandstander who thinks it's good politics for Iran to have the highest level nuclear weapon, while at the same time yelling death to America every chance they get. Yeah, it's so predictable. You always get these Republicans that do this. They love the attention. They want to be invited to the cocktail parties with these leftists. And you might say, oh, I stand with Massey on many of his positions. That's fine. But now he's getting to the place where he loves that attention. And trust me, a lot of money for Republicans that attack Republicans. A lot of great book deals, a lot of great fundraising. Democrat Representative Joaquin Castro, Democrat from Texas, accused President Donald Trump of lying about the amount of damage done in Iran as a result of the U.S. military strike. He said, first, let's consider the context and how we got here. We had an agreement with Iran to contain their nuclear weapons program. That agreement was put in place during President Obama's presidency. When Donald Trump became president, he took us out of that agreement. So at that point, it became harder to know how quickly they were enriching uranium and how close they were to developing a nuclear weapon. What we have now, after the United States got involved in the war by dropping all those bombs on their nuclear facilities, is we had Donald Trump essentially exaggerating and overstating, which is not unusual for him, but exaggerating the damage that was done. And I can't comment because I'm on the Intelligence Committee about a particular assessment, but it's my belief, after looking at everything, that the president lied about the amount of damage that was done. I can't say anything because think about that. I can't say anything because it's top secret. I'm in this Intelligence Committee, but I'm going to say he lied. So you don't actually get to see what he saw. We don't even know if he's completely lying about what he saw or what he read. But that is so stereotypical of a politician. Anyway. He says, so the danger is now, if in fact they still have the ability to develop a nuclear weapon within months, for example, then we could be in the situation again where Israel strikes at Iran again and tries to get the United States to go along. All right. Now, one top Trump official, which could very much, I don't even know, maybe be no, I shouldn't say that. we start to wonder who's in his administration right now. A top staffer in the federal agency overseeing personnel for the Trump administration has denounced the strikes on Iran as pointless and suggested the decision was made by members of DC's deep state. Andrew Closter, who serves as general counsel at the Office of Personnel Management, tweeted and then deleted a string of posts ripping the U.S. for having sent handouts to Israel in the past and for previously downplaying the threat of Tehran getting a nuclear weapon. Within a half an hour of President Trump's announcing a successful U.S. airstrike on Iranian nuclear facilities Saturday night, Closter wrote, I apologize, and I will never again doubt the power of the deep state. In response to an ex-user saying that Iran's nuclear sites being crushed seems a long-term benefit for the U.S., Closter wrote, I think it's just kind of pointless. Now, keep this in mind. He also boosted a post from Vish Burra, disgraced former New York Representative George Santos' ex-director of operations, that referred to Israel's conflict with Iran as a tribal squabble. That's an exact quote, after Tehran broke a ceasefire. All right. We're going to get away from this. We're going to get away from Iran and Israel. Those are some of the updates. I do have a couple last little things on it, but one that I think you're going to find interesting and something we've been talking about on this program for a long time. I would say don't get your hopes up, but it's still worth mentioning. Trump has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize over the Israel-Iran ceasefire. Now, if you recall in the past, I'm not going to say anybody can be nominated, but you can nominate someone relatively easy, because if you remember, Rush Limbaugh received a nomination at one time, and he started selling merchandise off of it. But in a letter to the Norwegian Nobel Committee, Representative Buddy Carter, Republican from Georgia, recommended Trump for the prize, quote, in recognition of his extraordinary and historic role in brokering an end to the armed conflict. President Trump's influence was instrumental in forging a swift agreement that many believe to be impossible, added Carter. President Trump also took bold, decisive actions to halt Iran's nuclear ambitions and ensure that the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism remains incapable of acquiring a nuclear weapon. So Trump nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. On that, let's take a short break, and we'll be back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
In today's world, securing your business is more important than ever. Protected with Boss Security's state-of-the-art alarm systems. When seconds matter, trust the experts. Boss Security is proud to safeguard local businesses across the Twin Tiers. Contact Boss Security today.
Cut! I get it. Slow motion. Slow down geographic atrophy. But we don't need gimmicks. Stick to the facts. GA, the advanced form of dry AMD, can irreversibly damage your vision. But Syfovre is an FDA-approved eye injection that gives you the power to slow GA. Syfovre was proven to slow GA lesion growth over 2 years with increasing effect over time. It's the only treatment to slow GA in as few as 6 doses per year.
Don't take Syfovre if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye that may include pain and redness or are allergic to it. Syfovre can cause severe allergic reactions. Other serious side effects are eye infection and retinal detachments, severe inflammation of vessels in the retina, which may result in severe vision loss, wet AMD, eye inflammation, and an increase in eye pressure. Most common side effects are eye discomfort, wet AMD, small specks floating in vision, and blood in the white of the eye. Tell your doctor right away if you have any side effects.
Act on facts to slow GA. Ask your retina specialist about Syfovre. Nope, just the facts.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. Viewer comment section of our program. Brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund. Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Contact them, or to find out more information, go to SteubenSeniorServicesFund.org. All right, some viewer comments. I don't think Iran needs to make any nuclear bombs. They can simply get them from friendly communist countries. As for dirty bombs, can't they simply dig up the uranium from the blast site? Probably most of it was in hardened canisters. Maybe. I'm not sure. Comment from a different viewer. Mark's feeling very generous this morning. I wish I could match, but I have to put gas in my car. Mark had said he would be happy to donate a penny to the Democrat Party, but they stopped making pennies, he said. Good morning, Frank. This is a different viewer. Good morning. I believe Andrew Cuomo's political career is over. Well, now this is interesting. I would tend to agree in the sense of him winning. But is his political career over in him running? Those are two very, very different things. Will he run for something else in the future? Not saying he'll be successful, but will he run for something in the future? Or does this just end any type of political future for him in the sense of he's done with it? Not going to run, not even going to consider it. I don't know. So I understand what you're saying in one way, and the other way I don't know if I completely agree. But thank you. Comment from a different viewer. What is going on in Kentucky? Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, now Thomas Massey. Kentucky becoming California of Middle America. Definitely not a MAGA state. Wow, thank you very much. I like that. Hussein Abdul Hussein, a research fellow with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, said victory over Iran gives Trump the chance to reshape the Middle East with trade deals. Interesting. Israel's decisive victory over Iran's Islamist regime has set Tehran's nuclear plans back years at least. It has also created a unique opening to normalize ties between Jerusalem and the Arab world via an expansion of President Donald Trump's Abraham Accords. Without Iran breathing down their necks, its neighbors in the region, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, can focus on their own national interests. That means peace with Israel and racing to capture a bigger share of the regional and global knowledge economy. Tehran's plan has been to divide and torture. So using the trade deals for another victory over Iran. I'm not sure if I like the wording of this, but the New York Post editorial board said that peace through strength, Iran-Russia bank shot for Trump. Nobody expects any surprises out of this week's NATO summit, but President Trump could offer a pleasant one by applying that peace through strength approach that just works so well on Iran and Israel to Russia and Ukraine. No, we're absolutely not suggesting anything cookie cutter. Neither U.S. airstrikes nor any new U.S. military initiative makes sense in this conflict. But the press could put Vladimir Putin on notice that his blowing off U.S. peace efforts is a losing strategy. Step one, announce he's throwing Joe Biden's silly hesitancy to the winds and allowing Kiev access to more and better U.S. weapons, and without the micromanaging restrictions on their use that the last administration insisted upon. Two, give the go-ahead for passage of Senator Lindsey Graham's bipartisan sanctions bill, which hits the enablers of Moscow's war machine by slamming a 500% tariff on imported goods from countries that buy Russian oil, gas, uranium, etc. Yes, the NATO gathering will already be a big win for the president, finally setting an expectation that every alliance member will devote 5% of GNP to defense spending, as he was pushing back in his first term. But on the heels of his Mideast tour de force, the momentum is now clearly with Trump on the global stage. And it makes plenty of sense to leverage that toward winding down the other major war that broke out on President Otto Penn's watch. We won't be surprised if the president chooses his own path to pulling off this bank shot, but we feel safe in betting he's got some creative moves in mind. Now, Revolutionary Guard member, ex-Iranian army sniper, and terror suspect arrested in a sweep of Iranian illegal migrants in the U.S. because we've heard so much about these sleeper cells. People are concerned, and rightfully so. But ICE agents arrested a former Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps member with suspected ties to Hezbollah, an ex-Iranian army sniper, and a terror watch list suspect during a sweep of Iranian illegal migrants in the U.S. over the weekend, as authorities raised warnings about possible sleeper cells. In all, 11 Iranian illegal migrants, many of them with criminal records, were taken into custody, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Immigration and Customs Enforcement nabbed former IRGC Miran Makari-Shail, who has admitted connections to the Iran-backed terrorist group Hezbollah, according to CBS News. I'm not going to go through each individual person. That's how this piece is kind of put together. But this ties in with a piece that Daniel McCarthy put out saying Iran's sleeper cell threat proves we must secure our border. The Iran crisis of the past 2 weeks isn't just about nuclear weapons. It's also an urgent reminder that border security is national security. President Donald Trump has thwarted Iran's nuclear ambitions and swiftly settled a ceasefire. Yet the war showed how destructive ballistic missiles can be, even when they don't bear atomic payloads. And while the Mullah's missiles can't reach the U.S., another Iranian weapons program must be neutralized if we're to be safe at home, and that's Tehran's terrorist agents. They've been a threat to Salman Rushdie's life here and in Europe for more than 35 years. In 2022, an attacker sympathetic to the Iranian government cost the author one of his eyes and nearly his life. Trump himself has been the target of other Iranian plots. According to court documents, Asif Merchant, a Pakistani man arrested in Texas last year, indicated an affinity to Iran when he attempted to hire hitmen to help murder a political person believed to be Trump. A scheme thwarted because the associates he sought to recruit were in fact FBI agents. A second plot involved Fareed Shakiri, an Afghan national now on the lam in Iran. In November, federal prosecutors in Manhattan charged Shakiri with providing material support for a foreign terrorist organization and planning to kill Trump on behalf of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Shakiri and two associates also stand accused of concocting a plan to murder a U.S. citizen of Iranian origin who has publicly opposed the Iranian government, according to Politico. After American forces bombed 3 Iranian nuclear program sites on Saturday, NBC News reported Iran had earlier warned Trump it could activate sleeper cells within the U.S. Rodney Scott, Commissioner of Customs and Border Patrol, alerted CBP agents to the danger the country now faces because of the porous border policies of the Joe Biden administration. Quote, over the past 4 years, thousands of Iranian nationals have been documented entering the United States illegally, and countless more were likely in the known and unknown gotaways, said the memo. More than 1,500 Iranians were apprehended illegally entering via the southern border during the Biden years, and more than 700 of them were released into our country after their arrests. America has bitter experience with terrorism, made possible by weak immigration enforcement. 5 of the 19 hijackers who pulled out the worst terrorist attack in our history on 9/11 were in the country on expired visas. Yet the legal immigration status of the other 14 is at least as much of a scandal. Was there really nothing that could have been done to screen out these terrorists? Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and tightening of border controls and admissions guidelines for foreign students and other legal visitors have outraged liberals. But detecting signs of radicalism before a Revolutionary Guard or al-Qaeda sympathizer has the opportunity to strike is what's necessary to prevent another 9/11. Iran has for decades used Hezbollah and other terrorist proxies to menace Israel and other regional neighbors, as well as to kill Americans. Liberals in our country think of globalization as a benign economic process involving the free movement of capital, people and ideas across borders. But what happens when the people are terrorists, the capital finances their attacks, and the ideas are anti-Semitic and anti-American? Globalization extends the battlefields of regional wars to our own land and airspace. But just wrapping up, because it gets a little wonky here, this is Daniel McCarthy. But the tranquility our geography and history afford us has to be defended against the dark side of globalization, including the transcontinental terrorism it makes possible. Winning the wars of the future calls for stopping them from forever getting started within our borders. Trump's success in that regard made possible his success this week in the Middle East. The New York Post editorial board also says, how about not relying on Qatar as an honest Iran broker? Count us deeply skeptical of having Qatar handle negotiations to further resolve Iran's nuclear program or any other burning Middle East issue. It's a very good point. All right. Your thoughts? Oh, Trump went on a rant against AOC. I know we mentioned her earlier. We may talk about that because we're talking about the face of the Democrat Party. They're now saying because he won his primary over Andrew Cuomo, that Zohran Mamdani may be the savior of the Democrat Party as we know it. Your thoughts on that race, your thoughts to that viewer's point. Do you think that's the end of Cuomo's political career? I don't think it's the last time he runs for something. But again, I'm eating crow this morning. I said Cuomo was going to be mayor of New York City. I was wrong. Feels kind of good to be wrong. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Hey, this is John with John's Tree Service. We are locally owned and insured and rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau. John's Tree Service, your source for all your tree needs, where customer satisfaction is our guarantee. Give us a call today at 607-377-6513.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you, right here in America. And we're committed to keeping our lineup affordable and free from new tariffs. That's why we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder. So you can get the car you want, at the price you want, knowing Nissan is here for you at the Nissan Summer Sales Event.
Now get 0% APR financing for 60 months on Rogue or Pathfinder, or get a low $239 per month lease on Rogue.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Catch Twin local news and weather by visiting WYDCTV.com. We've got daily and weekly weather forecast, question of the day, things to do, and more. WYDCTV.com, your website for everything.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Market Street in Corning. If you have any questions about yesterday's primary race, very low turnout, very disappointing at that level. I mean, you're talking in all of Irwin, for instance, looking at that, 205 ballots. 205 people in all of Irwin voting in that race. Just 273 in all of District 9. 344 in the district that encompasses town of Corning, Hornby, and Caton. But if you're curious in those legislative races, Michael Volino was victorious. James Cool, the incumbent, was successful in District 12. And Justin Eberlin successful in District 13. And in that Elmira City Court judge race, Jordan York defeating Robert Siglin 226-89. So if you have any questions about something specific and you haven't seen, because I know there wasn't a lot of coverage of this yesterday, be happy to help you. Did you see Trump's rant against AOC? Do you want to talk about AOC? You want to talk about Cuomo? Either way, Cuomo one time the face of the Democrat Party too. If you think about it, more during COVID. But Trump completely loses it, according to Mediaite. That's a non-biased way of putting it. This is what he put, was it on Truth, I believe. Stupid AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before. The reason for her ranting is all of the victories that the USA has had under the Trump administration. Began Trump, this isn't Truth Social, the Democrats aren't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. When we examine her test scores, we will find out that she is not qualified for office, but nevertheless, far more qualified than Crockett, that's Jasmine Crockett, who is a seriously low IQ individual, or Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country. Yet the failed country that she comes from doesn't have a government, is drenched in crime and poverty, and is rated one of the worst in the world, if it's even rated at all. How dare the mouse tell us how to run the United States of America? We're just now coming back from the radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive test that I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, President Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer right. Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents and which she never goes to anymore. She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice. She and her Democrat friends have just hit the lowest poll numbers in congressional history. So go ahead and try impeaching me again. Make my day, he concluded. Wow. He had a busy day. He was feisty, the president was yesterday, whether it was with the reporters, whether it was cussing in his answers, whether it was to AOC. So go ahead and try impeach me again. Make my day. AOC responded to the president, referring to herself as a silly girl. I don't get this, because that was never in any way, shape, or form what that post was about, and any reference to her gender. So you're not really arguing the same issue. I find that kind of iffy. But she said, Mr. President, don't take your anger out on me. I'm just a silly girl. Take it out on whoever convinced you to betray the American people and our Constitution by illegally bombing Iran and dragging us into war. Where does the silly girl thing come from? I mean, if you're upset with what Trump said, or you're upset with his policy on Iran and what he did in Iran, then go with him in that direction. I just don't understand why you're trying to make him almost say something he didn't say, or make it seem like he said something he didn't say. I don't understand that. If you have a good argument, which I'm sure she believes she does, why kind of discredit it by going that direction and suggesting or inferring that he was making some type of sexist attack? I just don't quite understand it. That I don't understand. So Crockett, we mentioned her yesterday. This got such a great reaction from viewers, so I don't mind. This isn't going to be a bit, but yesterday we had Jasmine Crockett, who is, again, just like Mamdani, one of the faces of the Democrat Party, that a rising star. They're looking for anybody, right? So Jasmine Crockett was asked, she's a representative, asked about Iran. And I started reading the quote yesterday, not realizing just quite how bad it was. Until it was too late, so to speak. This is what she said. I don't really have any, good answers for you, except for the fact that legitimately everything that he does is, against the law. He just breaks the law. Jasmine Crockett has now dropped her bid to be oversight ranking member after she finished dead last. Representative Jasmine Crockett dropped her bid to become the Democrats' next ranking member of the House Oversight Committee after finishing dead last in Monday night's steering vote, ceding the role to winner Representative Robert Garcia, the Texas Congresswoman who vowed to open an impeachment inquiry to President Donald Trump if she were to become chair of the powerful committee early this month, told the Dallas Morning News that she withdrew her name from consideration on Tuesday after receiving just 6 votes in the steering committee. Garcia received the most votes, 33. Representative Stephen Lynch, 15. Representative Kawisi Mafum coming in third with 8. Mafum also dropped out because the official vote to elect Democrats' top representative on the committee, leaving Garcia to easily sweep 150 votes of Lynch's 63. Jasmine Crockett saying it was clear by the numbers that my style of leadership is not exactly what they were looking for. And so I don't think that it was fair for me to then push forward. What I care about is winning. Now, whether or not we're going to win and how big we're going to win, that's a whole other issue. So Jasmine Crockett dropping her bid to be oversight ranking member after she finished dead last. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
It's time to say not so fast chronic kidney disease. Because with a progressive disease like CKD, slow is good. And believe me, I know all about slow. That's why I'm here to tell you about Jardiance. It's a little pill proven to slow the progression of CKD and reduce the risk of kidney failure, which can lead to dialysis.
Serious side effects include increased ketones in blood or urine, which can be fatal. Stop Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, trouble breathing, or increased ketones. Jardiance may cause dehydration that can suddenly worsen kidney function and make you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Genital yeast infections in men and women, urinary tract infections, low blood sugar, or a rare life-threatening bacterial infection between and around the anus and genitals can occur. Call your doctor right away if you have fever or feel weak or tired and pain, tenderness, swelling, or redness in the genital area. Don't use if allergic to Jardiance. Stop use if you have a serious allergic reaction. Call your doctor if you have rash, swelling, difficulty breathing, or swallowing. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have new pain or tenderness, sores, ulcers, or infection in your legs or feet.
So go on, say not so fast CKD. Ask your doctor about Jardiance for chronic kidney disease.
Hey, this is John with John's Tree Service. We are locally owned and insured and rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau. John's Tree Service, your source for all your tree needs, where customer satisfaction is our guarantee. Give us a call today at 607-377-6513.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments during the Stu Ben Senior Services Fund section of our program. First up, finally, something I can agree on with AOC, although I can think of a few words rather than silly. Thank you very much. Coming from a different viewer. Watching the lawfare crumble, Supreme Court is overturning rogue judges. Guess they were just against Trump and not upholding the law. They were twisting it to make Democrats happy. Thank you very much. Muhammad Ali wins stunning upset. Now, I would argue it was an upset like 3 weeks ago, but as of yesterday, as we report on this program, it was a very close race. So Assembly member Zohran Mamdani is on track to secure the Democratic nomination for mayor after Cuomo conceded. I was a little surprised by him conceding. Not much of a speech, just saying, hey, had a good night, he wins kind of thing. With 95% of precincts reporting 2 hours after polls closed at 9 p.m., 44% ranked Mamdani as their first choice, while 36% chose Cuomo first, and 11% had City Comptroller Brad Lander. Brad Lander gave her the old college try and tried to make a political grandstanding gesture, political theater. It did not work. Mamdani emerged to raucous applause at his election party, saying today, 8 months after launching this campaign with a vision of a city that every New Yorker could afford, we have won. Have you seen some of his policies? I don't know how you can say you can afford living there. I'll be the mayor for every New Yorker, whether you voted for me, for Governor Cuomo, or felt too disillusioned by a long, broken political system to vote at all. I will fight for a city that works for you, that is affordable for you, that is safe for you. Tonight, we are sending Andrew Cuomo back to the suburbs. Now, Andrew Cuomo did concede. That's a very important move for Mr. Cuomo, as we know that he has trouble with rejection. He has trouble with anybody pushing back. His ego, this must have been quite a hit for his ego. I do think it's kind of interesting. So, obviously, the left is looking for some type of face of the resistance. Cory Booker tried to take that top spot with his filibuster. Again, really showing in a nutshell what the Democrat Party has become. That they can nothing but hot air for 25 hours and 5 minutes with nothing accomplished whatsoever. But that was really exciting to the Democrat Party, making him the face of the resistance. He's even having a book published on the ordeal of a 25-hour filibuster called Stand. So he became the face of the resistance. He became a power player, if you will, just for accomplishing nothing. That's how desperate they are for anything. Now you've got Mamdani, who wins one primary race, and he's being put on a pedestal because even some of the media saying, well, AOC didn't win citywide. She just won her congressional district in Queens. Throwing her by the wayside and propping up Mamdani. Now, he is a far-left socialist, someone that does not in any way, shape, or form stand with Israel, has received a lot of criticism for his stance on Israel, as a matter of fact. Mamdani overcame the frontrunner with an acute focus on affordability, leading a campaign that featured both savvy social media strategies and the deployment of thousands of volunteers. He has made ambitious promises, which critics say are unrealistic, to increase taxes on millionaires and corporations, and then use the revenues to freeze rent for stabilized tenants, drastically expanding subsidized childcare, and make public buses free. Mamdani saying a life of dignity should not be reserved for a fortunate few. It should be one that city government guarantees for each and every New Yorker. If the campaign has demonstrated anything to the world, it is that our dreams can become reality. Wow, this guy, he's promised a lot. But again, he is according to the media, the new face of the Democrat Party. Democrat socialist lawmaker, new face of the Democrat Party. Cuomo saying, again, tonight was not our night. I'm very proud of the campaign that we ran. Again, he didn't really run much of a campaign. He didn't really do the legwork. That was a criticism that he was receiving. He got a lot of endorsements. Boy, how embarrassed. I know I mentioned this earlier. How embarrassed would you be if you're a politician and and think this is politics, right? One day you're saying, oh, he sexually harassed somebody, he should get out of there. The next day, when I say day, a couple of years, he should be mayor, and now he lost. Mamdani saying, we have given our city permission to believe again. I pledge to you that we will remake this great city, not in my image, but the image of every New Yorker who has only known struggle. In our New York, the power belongs to the people. So Cuomo just essentially trying to win on paid ads by his PAC, not campaigning, running on endorsements, which again, endorsements don't really matter all that much. The hard-fought local fight mirrors the national Democratic divide, according to Politico. A young, inexperienced socialist running on a hopeful message with the backing of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez versus a 67-year-old, three-term former New York governor who worked in Bill Clinton's cabinet and got the ex-president's endorsement in the race's waning days. Oh, I forgot Clinton even endorsed him. Interesting. Sexual harassment allegations for Cuomo endorsed by Bill Clinton. But I think, again, that is very interesting at the national level. Democrats are dealing with this. Kind of the old guard, if you will, the Cuomos, the Clintons of the world, even the Barack Obamas of the world, the old guards, or the Bernie Sanders, AOC, now Mamdani. Which direction is the party headed? Well, according to New York City voters, the party's headed towards the AOC. It's also the most high-profile Democratic primary in the country since President Trump won a second term 7 months ago. Seen as a referendum on how Democrats could counter the White House, New Yorkers lined up in droves during 9 days of early voting, many of them matching the profile of a prototypical Mamdani supporter, young, white, and in gentrifying areas of the city. So now Politico goes from almost propping them up to now ridiculing them in a way, demeaning them. Very odd. If the results hold, they will. They have chosen a new voice focused on affordability over a party elder who leaned into his prior experience fighting Trump and promised to restore order to Adams' chaotic City Hall. So according to this, read between the lines, Mamdani is the new face of the Democrat Party, at least his socialist beliefs like AOC and Bernie Sanders. I will say, and I asked this question because someone posed it here on the program. Not posed it, but I turned it into a question. Do you think this is the end of Cuomo's career, political career? I'm not suggesting he's going to win elected office again. And by the way, at least Stefanik was right, wasn't she? He never should hold elected office again. Well, as of last night, he's not going to hold the mayor, which has got to be quite a blow to his ego. I'd hate to be a fly on, well, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, to be honest, but it must have been awkward to be in that green room yesterday. But do you think he runs again for something else? Governor, president? Your thoughts. Stay with us. We'll be right back reading your comments when we return.
Advanced robotics surgery is now available in the Southern Tier. With the Da Vinci Surgical System, experienced local surgeons at UR Medicine St. James and Jones Memorial Hospitals can perform minimally invasive procedures with greater precision.
That means less pain, shorter hospital stays, and a faster recovery so you can get back to life sooner.
Trust the expertise of your local surgeons and the most advanced technology for your surgery.
You no longer need to travel for cutting-edge surgical care.
Visit robotics.urmc.edu for more information.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/BigFoxNews.
This June, learning about elder abuse is more important than ever before. Financial scams, neglect, and physical abuse of our seniors are happening every day. Find the right solutions by talking and reaching out to our seniors. If you suspect abuse, call Steuben County Office for the Aging at 607-664-2298 or SteubenCountyNY.gov/235. Brought to you by the Steuben County Office for the Aging.
The Twin Tiers first prime time local news. Catch weather, local and national news, events, and more with our anchors, Dante, Haley, and Ann. Find out what's happening in your community and more by watching Big Fox 10 p.m. News on WYDC.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. I think the heat's getting to the roof cam. All right, we're back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and it is time for the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Give them a call today at 607-664-2298 or go online to SteubenSeniorServicesFund.org. All right, Rick writes in, And Rick knows I've already apologized to him. I missed a good one that he sent in yesterday. But let's get to Rick's post today. He says, good morning, Frank, and good morning, Rick. O'Donnell with the potty mouth about Israel and Iran. Yikes. I can't imagine a president of the United States saying that to the press and then turn and walk towards Marine One. Naughty, naughty. Yeah, I would say the potty mouth. There's a lot of legacy media. I'll get more to Rick's comments here in a moment. Lot in the legacy media that thought they could go live with that instantly regretted going live. That's for sure. I can imagine other presidents have cussed, of course, in the past. I don't know about directly to the press, but the press deserves it. Next. The bombing, and this is still Rick, excuse me. The bombing of the Iranian nuclear facilities may have only set Iran's program back by months, according to one assessment. I think that's a long way away from obliterated. We'll see when other agencies chime in. Donald and Pete the Leak. Lies, nothing but lies. These people in these agencies like the DIA need to be fired. Where's Elon when you need to fire somebody? Elon, let's see how this NATO meeting goes. I don't think those boys have a lot of love for Donald. Why would tariffs? Tariffs, what tariffs? And Trump wants us to throw more cash at NATO. Too bad. Cuomo, hang him up. Have a good day, Rick. Thanks, Rick. You have a good day as well. Yeah, will Cuomo, that's the question though. Will Cuomo hang him up? That's how we're going to end. So get your comments in. Is that it for Cuomo? Is he done running forever? Because he couldn't win mayor. He thought he could easily win it. He didn't. So we have one segment left. That's where I take this break. Get your last-minute comments in. Will Cuomo hang him up, as Rick is suggesting, or will he run for something else? Never mind, maybe he could still run technically for independent, as an independent for mayor. He kind of signaled last night that he's not going to, though. I'm talking about, is this the end of his political career as we know it, or just, as Ken put it, I thought Ken put it astutely, that his narcissistic mindset is telling him, well, the people of New York City just didn't want to pigeonhole me, didn't want to paint me into a corner with just the mayor. They want me to run for something better. That's the ego of Cuomo. Is it that? Okay, one other comment. Good morning, Frank. Hey, good morning. Cuomo's arrogance may be his own undoing. I have no doubt he thought he would coast into office, then save the Democrat Party on a national scale because of the hero he thinks he is. I also believe that he is desperately trying to escape his father's shadow. There is definitely something there. That's why he always wanted to run for president and be successful, because his father missed that window. He missed that window when he decided not to run when he was peaking, essentially. So you're right. There's something there. There's some type of father issue in a way. All right, we got to take a short break. Wrapping up hour number 2, the whole program. Unbelievable. Get your last second comments in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're running, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
The Twins' first prime-time local news. Catch weather, local and national news, events, and more with our anchors, Dante, Haley, and Ann. Find out what's happening in your community and more by watching Big Fox 10 p.m. News on
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's read the last couple of comments as we go to our Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program where we read viewer comments. First up, Democrats must be proud of New York City picking a socialist over Democrats. I love it. AOC and Jasmine Crockett are the leaders pushing Democrats out of the party. The establishment Democrats committed suicide with Obama. Now the far left is the center. And you raise a good point. The far left is really the center of the Democrat Party. And you've got people like David Hogg, who now is no longer in kind of any type of leadership position at the DNC, but wanted to actually spend DNC money, $20 million, to oust essentially old sitting Democrats with other Democrats, the new, younger, socialist Democrats. Comment from a different viewer. I didn't think Cuomo's ego would allow him to run for mayor, let alone president or any other loftier goal. Why would he subject himself to more embarrassment? You raise a good point. I didn't think Cuomo would demean himself, if you will, to just run for mayor. But I do think he ended up seeing this as a potential stepping stone to erasing or atoning for his past sins, and or at least getting people to forget about it, getting back in the limelight, and then maybe gubernatorial, but most likely a presidential run. The reports we were getting about a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, were that people in his circle were saying he's thinking about the White House. And finally, saving this comment for our last comment of today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate your opinions and enjoy the show. Well, thank you. That's so kind of you. I appreciate your opinions as well, especially everything you said there. I think you're spot on. Have a wonderful day. So Mamadami delivers a political earthquake, according to CNN. It's writing a new playbook. There are a lot of articles out saying that Mamadami is the new face of the Democrat Party, that he is the new leader. Boy, how quickly. They're just looking for anything. Are they grasping at straws? I'm not saying anything about Mamadami personally. I'm just saying it just seems like any new flavor of the month, they're ready to jump on board. GOP anoints a new face of the Democrat Party. And it's not us. I had Politico. That was CNN's takeaway. Politico actually saying, so CNN goes, they're trying to suggest, the GOP is trying to suggest he's the face of the Democrat Party. That's not the case. And yet we have pieces like this coming from the New York Times. Can Mamadani help lead the Democrat Party out of the darkness? The national Democratic establishment struggled to absorb the startling accent of a democratic socialist in New York City who embraced a progressive economic agenda, blah, blah, blah. All right, that does it for today's edition of, Frankly Speaking. Quickly, CNN's death spiral. We've been talking about the horrible ratings and losing of their key players. CNN's death spiral caused by obsession with Trump-Russia investigation. According to an ex-anchor, it's probably a good point. People got sick of it. They lost all credibility. J.B. Pritzker is running for a third term in Illinois as governor. Thank you to Congressman Nick Langworthy for the $2.5 million grant for Head Start projects in Bath for sending us that information. We do appreciate that. And that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Join us tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 6 a.m. I look forward to it already.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.